Hello, everybody. It is Keith Salmon from Keith Salmon Coaching, and you are joining us for the Million Dollar Story series. Today, we are another international event today. And sorry, we're a couple of minutes late, but that's what happens when we try to hook up all across the world. So today, we have Larisa Petrini on, joining us from Europe, and she'll tell us exactly where, but she's an age reversal expert. And I know that a lot of us are always searching for the fountain of youth. And I think that Larisa has discovered something here. Good morning. Good morning for me in Santa Monica, California, where it's windy here. And good afternoon to you, Larisa.
I was about to ask you about the weather there. I know it's 7 a.m., right?
Yes.
7 a.m. It's 4 p.m. here. So I am located in Europe, indeed. I live in Romania. I currently live in Romania. And before COVID, I used to live both in Romania and a little bit in Switzerland. So less travel these days.
Less travel these days, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very exciting to me to be able to have these conversations. It's kind of an amazing, benefit to the internet, Facebook, Instagram, all these formats that they kind of bug people in some ways, but the ability to reach each other like this is incredible to me. I still act like a little kid when I get on a line like this. I appreciate you being here. So basically, just a little bit about what I talk about in this series. I have a story background. That's my whole career. My whole life basically is on story, helping people tell their stories or realizing that they even have stories. So what I say about these conversations that I'm having, this one in particular, with Larisa, is that if you're watching, you may indeed be in the right place at the right time, hearing the right story. And if you are ready to receive that story, it can in fact change your life. And so that's why I do this, because it happened to me. It just is a matter of time when you're going to hear that right story that's going to inspire you to take action on your dream and your vision. So when I say the fountain of youth, an age reversal expert, why don't you just tell us what that means? Because it sounds like you discovered something.
It sounds like that, really. I wish I had like a secret weapon or a secret for everyone. There is no such thing as something that is going to work for every single person. So indeed, I'm an age reversal expert, and what I do is pretty unique. It's not like I am the only person doing this, but I am, first of all, super passionate about what I do. I am specialized in science-based programs, and these programs are made to measure from your DNA. So my field of play is epigenetics, and what I do on a daily basis is that I help 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs reverse their biological age by a decade, and you said that in your post, and also get irresistible, I absolutely love this word, in their 40s. And this is without surgery and also without exhausting beauty regimens. So I don't believe in one-size-fits-all solutions. On the contrary, I think diet, sport and movement, sleep, stress, skin, and longevity in general needs a very, very personalized approach. So this is my field of play and what I do.
Mm-hmm. So did you say, is it epigenetics? Is that what it's called?
Epigenetics. Epigenetics. Epi is coming from above, so it's above genetics. In order to craft an epigenetic plan or a lifestyle intervention plan, if you like it more, you need to know what's going on inside your body. So before doing that, I need to take a careful look inside your body and see through a genetic report, of course, and see what's going on there, so that you will get that tailor-made plan, that tailor-made program for the rest of your life. Honestly, it's not something that you would use for a year or two. It's something that you would definitely use for your entire life, because your genes are not going to change. The way your genes are expressed based on your decisions, your daily decisions in regards to your lifestyle, that's another story. So you can modulate that with what you do.
Right. So it's basically you're saying that, because it is not a one size fits all, it's sort of like the DNA is sort of like your fingerprint to genetic identity. And it's interesting because I've been calling that in the last few weeks. I've been calling all of these search for stories and people's stories, because sometimes people don't think that their stories are that valuable, you know, and with their it's maybe a self-doubt or it's some sort of a thing like that. But the idea that they're all fingerprints, everyone's story has a DNA in a way. So that's an interesting parallel.
Yeah, fully agree. And I have a different background. This is something that I need to mention. So I used to be a corporate warrior, if you want. I don't necessarily love the word corporate, because I actually used to work in leading advertising agency, communication agency. So I am a former executive, and for 15 years I did something else. I did public relations. So stories were part of my job, everyday job. So I believe in that very much. And I also think there is a very particular or special story for each and everybody, not only each and every person and soul, but also each and everybody. So depending on what you decide to do or not, that story can be a positive one or a less positive one.
No, I hear you on that. I hear you. I know that we, the odds were probably against us geographically, but we could have crossed paths in those other worlds that we lived in for many years. Yeah, I think that the whole sort of transitional, I think part of our lives, we have transition points and milestones. And, you know, we decide to come out of childhood, if we in fact do. Sometimes people, like in my case, I stay young by not growing up in some ways. And, you know, try to take care of yourself. But, you know, there's just inevitably, the longer we live, the longer we live and have experiences that, like you say, the not so great moments, but the magic is when you make a change to come out of those not so great moments and transition. And like you say, the corporate can be a grind. The corporate can be damaging to your soul and to your body. And the whole thing is I think what you're helping people do is to kind of maybe take a little damage control in that midlife and bring it back a little bit. Understand that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also a very important transitional point, right? When I like to say, you figure out or you discover the fact that you are climbing a mountain. I like to use this metaphor. Is as if you are climbing a mountain, and then you realize the fact that there is a downside as well. So it's time for you to go down as well. So that's the second half of your life. And then, because you mentioned that, I hear this a lot. It's almost like you are, or you find yourself at the end of growing young and the beginning of growing old, right? So it's a very interesting turning point. And I love to say the fact that I give back hope to these women, because that's a very sensitive moment. And I believe it's a little bit more sensitive for women than men. We all experience this type of crisis. And first of all, there is not, from my perspective, there are crises at the beginning of every new decade. So we have an existential crisis in our 20s, and then another one in our 30s, and then a bigger one or a more important one when we are in our 40s, and then 50s, and so on. But the one in our 40s is definitely the one I mean, at least in my case and my client's case, we remember this crisis. And we remember it because there is something happening around in our 40s. And it's not only about who I am and what I do is meaningful or not. It's a lot about what we see in the mirror as well. And again, this is happening with my clients. This happened with myself as well. So it's not like there is a gong that rings, of course, but I felt, and this happened 1, maybe 2 years ago, I felt like there was a change that somehow begin to register in my gut, or at my gut level perception. So that was definitely interesting. So this is a very interesting conversation, and my conversation is definitely more on the changes we experience in our body. And we like it or not, aging accelerates in our 40s. And that mirror moment is the moment where or when we notice the first cracks, if you want, in our physical shells as well. And that's also the moment when some of my clients realize the fact that their kids are going to leave the nest. So they will not be that busy in the following years. And then, of course, it's all about the questions, it's all about the decisions, it's all about the actions, and also the perceptions, right? So I love working with them right in that moment.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you can set the stage for people to say, maybe, yes, I can do something, as opposed to I'm just going to retreat into my older years and just watch life pass me by. You know, I see a lot of that. We also, I mean, we live through it. We have that moment of, it's either a moment of, I don't want to say surrender, because surrender can be a really good thing, but it's a moment of retreating and resigning, as opposed to, you know, living the fullest
and celebrating life in the end. I mean, based on what you do and what you decide around this I don't know, midlife passage, let's call it like that, you can live fully and celebrate life and enjoy, and maybe even have a better half, because you are wiser, you have lots of those important things are in place, right? Your career, the money you were hoping to get in your life, your kids are in the right place, so on and so forth. So you could actually experience something better. And I am a true believer in that. I truly believe you can have a better passage after 40s or right after this midlife crisis.
Right. So I also believe that, you know, if you've lived something, you can teach it. You have a lot more trust. You can develop trust a lot easier by saying, this is something that I can tell you exclusively from experience. Was there any, like, some people have a magic moment. On some people, it's a series of, I always talk about connecting your dots of a story, because it becomes, sometimes these big crisis moments are really the perfect storm of a lot of circumstance. And was there anything that you'd want to share with the audience that says, hey, I'm from corporate, I'm from seeing all these, you know, even with the story, you've had an amazing exposure to a lot of people, a lot of business circumstances, and so on and so forth. Was there a particular exact moment when that happened that you said, this is my mission? Or was it a series of events that came about? And, you know, you don't have to get too personal, but just tell me that magic.
I think both. So I think it was a little bit like a puzzle. So first of all, I should say the fact that I was raised by two amazing women. One is my mom, and the other one is my aunt. She's a German lady, and they were always very attentive at the way we express ourselves as women. So that was a piece of education, if I can call it like it, or like that, or if you want, that was something that followed me, and I still implement with my clients, and I still live. Later, and that was 10 years ago, and I will mention this because that was instrumental, if you want, for what I do today. So 10 years ago, I was misdiagnosed with cancer, with thyroid cancer. And before that, I went through a pretty unpleasant divorce. And they came like one after another in a very interesting context in which I was overworked. I was an overspender. I had no funny relationship with food. That was the only thing that was somehow missing from the picture. But I had all those traits of an overworked corporate person. You know, seeing my family and my little son for just a few hours a day, not being able to properly focus on family, so on and so forth. So those things happened, and my response, talking about fight or flight, was to flight, actually. So initially I froze. I was like, oh my God, why is this happening? How come I am in this particular moment in my life? And then the answer to that was 2-month sabbatical in Malaysia. So what I did, I had a very dear friend proposing or making this proposal to go there together. And I said, yes, why not? This might be probably the best thing I could do right now. So I went to Malaysia, right in the jungle. It was pretty intense, you know, moving from my spoiled life, if you want, to right in the middle of Borneo jungle. So I went there for 2 months, and that was pretty shaky, I must say. So finding some snakes in your boots in the morning, or not having electricity, taking the so-called shower right at the waterfall in the jungle because we had no bathroom around, eating funny things, you know, and in general not a lot, spending some time with in the tribes there in the jungle, or I don't know, we did so many unusual things there that was, I mean, you had no chance other than simply move the focus to yourself and who you are and why you are there. So that was the moment when I said, okay, enough is enough. I am going to change something here, because the mindset and the behavior and the actions I took so far were definitely not necessarily the right ones. So what can I do to change the trajectory of my life, of my career? And because my mom was always passionate about nutrition and healthy living, and she had a business in this domain. She sold her business a few years ago. And we were always sharing information, and we were both passionate about this. I promised myself something. I was not 100% sure that nutrition is going to be the domain, but I promised myself I'm going to do my best to help as many women as possible to avert that crisis, to avoid that crisis and that critical moment in which you are basically exhausted, you are not fulfilled, you are not happy with who you are and what you do. And you might also be in danger for losing your family, for losing lots of things, important things in your life. So this was probably the most important moment. And then it took me 4 years to actually exit the corporate world. In the meantime, I started to I went back to the school. Mm-hmm. So I started to take several certifications. Some were, the first ones actually were nutrition certifications. Then I moved to sleep. I am also a certified sleep coach. And then a few years ago, I moved into epigenetics. So this is, in short, my story.
No, it's amazing. I think what you made me think of, one of the things I wrote down just in thinking about our conversation was intervention. You know, I think outside intervention, it does not work, in my experience, near as much as inside intervention, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Sounds like you intervened in your own life because you knew you had to make a change or felt like you wanted to make a change. And you have to want it, I suppose, as opposed to needing it. Everybody else can tell you that you need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but until you realize that you need it and you want it, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, going into the jungle and saying good morning to the snakes in your boots that's courageous, and it's cleaning the slate. I congratulations for taking that action, for you, and not just you. It's for all the people that you're helping.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is the realization. I mean, I mean, it's just, I'm not going to steal the show here, but my realization, say, if I'm working on a film or something like that, like a documentary, from my point of view and my participation, I'm really only working for one person at it, you know, on a basic level, in terms of a customer level. You know, maybe the film gets out there and is seen by a lot of folks, but at the, you know, one-on-one sort of, what do we call it, high touch, you know, it's just one at a time. And that's not what I wanted to do. Helping more people avoid some of the trouble, you know, like you were saying, is you're like a scout for life. You've went out ahead of the team and found all the trouble spots, and you can lead them through that journey. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Thank you.
And I love how you just said, you know, all right, let's, you know, the smarts that you brought to it to say, okay, well, if I'm going to teach this, like, I gotta get some education. That's brave, right?
Yeah. Well, I am crazy. So sometimes I am probably, for at least for some of the people, I am a little bit too crazy in taking risks and really doing things that probably most of the people would not do. They would not try. They would not risk, actually, because it's all about what you lose. So I'm not afraid to lose anything. I'm like, okay, it's either going to work, and I love this. One of my mentors saying is, you either win or learn. So I don't believe in failure. I used to believe in failure, not believe, but I was like, oh my God, if I'm going to fail, this is going to look bad. And I am not going to forgive myself, and I am not going to be okay with myself. And I am not the same today. I am like, okay, just bring it on. I am going to take the risk no matter what. So yeah, I think I even thought about this a few days ago. 10 years ago, when I made that promise to myself, and I said I am going to help as many women as possible to avoid this type of crisis or critical point in their lives. I wasn't aware about something. I think we sometimes need these shaking moments or shaky moments in our lives so that we will wake up. It's very difficult for someone to understand what you coach them to do, like to unless they don't hit the wall, or they don't really feel the fear, the uncertainty, I don't know, the fact that they might lose a lot, and especially those things that are very important. So I'm not here to say that you need to experience failure or shaky moments. It's just that sometimes we might need those things, so that we also realize the fact that they might be opportunities, in fact. And this is something that I was also mentored to somehow see the fact that in every single negative situation there is a positive outcome, if you know how to assess the situation and how to carefully take a look there and really bring at the surface those things that are there for you to teach you something.
I realized in my life that those open doors, you know, they were always there. I just didn't perhaps see them. You know, you think of, well, if our you know, if something happens in a decision we make and it doesn't pan out the way that we wanted it to, that it's over. You know, it's not over at all. It's just, you move through it. And all of a sudden there's something
else.
Exactly. And there's, if you look back, I think in sort of the legacy visualization that we do sometimes, which I like to do, is you look back and you visualize something that may or may not have happened yet. but then you look past where you are, if you're time traveling and you look back, and then you look back into actual history, you'll see these patterns, and you'll see these little like, whoa, I could have gone this way or this way. But the fact is that the journey is the journey, and those every moment in time leads to where you are right now. And I mean, it sounds a little out there, but it's true. And those opportunities is part of the human condition that you have, that's choice and awareness and synchronicity. It's all kind of magic. It's magic, really.
If you are open to see them, as you said, sometimes that confirmation bias, right? And our brain's job is to keep us safe and secure, right? So we are not wired necessarily to grow, but if you take that courage and if you really take the risk, I think things can be. I like to say to simply to be able to move on the field of play and become a player and not a fan. This is something that is always working. I mean, fans are always on the sidelines, right? They are clapping their hands, they watch the game, they criticize, they have something to say, they are unhappy or happy. But those who are really doing the change and doing something are those in the arena. There is a saying or a quote from Brené Brown as well. And she says the same: if you are not in the arena, stop criticizing, stop saying anything. And it boils down, and we go back to the courage, right? To that courage and the willingness to take the risk or not.
Right. That's a great analogy of being in the game or not. Of being a fan, but being a leader is something that, you're out there taking a chance, but that's what leaders do. And the people that are in your, following you, or however you want to call it, you're a leader they're following, but they're going to be leaders themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can be in their own way. They don't need to be in the same way.
Right.
As I am, right.
Right. So the comfort and risk and all that stuff is an individual choice, and how much it's sort of like if you talk to people about what their retirement plan looks like, it's, there can be many that work, and it's sort of like in our coaching and all of this stuff, there's plenty of room for everyone, because everyone's so individual, and there's so many people that are not exactly like you, but are looking for what you've got. And that's a pretty fascinating part of I think the age that we have, and information and knowledge sharing that's available to us right now. Now, I would you like to talk about how you in fact work with people? Did you want to talk about the women that you work with, or is there anything that you wanted to talk about in terms of things that are coming up?
Yes, we can talk about that as well. So first of all, I only work with women. Talking about choice, this is something that I wanted very much to do. Initially, I also work with kids, and men, they usually come my way. They are usually my clients' husbands, and they want to lose weight, or they want to do some changes as well. So this happened a few years ago. And after that, I simply took the decision to work with women, and not only with women, but women-specific women. And they are entrepreneurs. Most of them are entrepreneurs, or they are executives in corporations. They have an executive level. They are pretty stressed. They are overworked, and they love to receive, to get solutions that work. So instead of going from trial and error to trial and error, or taking into account another guesswork type of intervention, they want, number one, quick solutions, and then solutions that work. So I currently work with women from literally all over the world, from US to Europe to Australia, Asia. And I do this. You started you started our interview by saying the fact that internet is a blessing, and I truly believe it is, because this is what I do. I do it virtually. So my coaching process kickstarts with this genetic analysis. This is the number one thing I do. I send over a genetic kit. Their saliva swab is sent to the lab. And then in 6 to 8 weeks' time, we get their report. And based on that report, we plan a so-called VIP day, in which for 3, sometimes 4 hours, we discuss their, if you want, user's manual. I like to call it like that because it's literally like a user's manual. And right after that, there are a few options. One option would be to join my 12 months mastermind. This is called Glorious 40. The second option would be to work with me privately. And there are 2 options there. One is a 9-month option and the other one is a 12-month option. Before COVID, the 12-month option had something very interesting for this type of women inside. The first thing was a retreat, a 5-star retreat happening in Spain, in a 5-star spa for 4 days. And the second thing, and that was something very much loved by my clients, was a trip, a celebration trip to Paris, in which they had a professional photo session with a professional makeup artist and a professional stylist, personal stylist. So they literally had the opportunity to feel like queens for a few days, with limousine, with champagne, with all those things that you sometimes see in the movies, if you want. This is on hold for now, but I am keen to go back to this option in this 12-month package. Next week, because you said what's coming up, what's going to happen next, on November 2nd, so starting Monday, next Monday, I am going to organize another free masterclass, and this is called Glow Up, 5 days to glowing skin and age reversal. For 5 days, I'm going to be live and talk about very, very interesting things. And if you will allow me, I will just name the topics so that those who are interested and want to join can join the masterclass. So the first day is called, or the topic for the first day is all about the story of your skin, the story of their skin. And here I am going to share with those interested how we age and why we don't have to age. And then I am going to share and talk about the top 10 beauty I don't know how to pronounce this word. So the top 10 beauty things, I will just call them things, that are gradually stealing our youth. So this is going to be the second topic for the first day. In the second day, I am going to talk about the gut and beauty connection. And here there are 2 subtopics. The number 1 is the 4 phases of aging. And the second one is all about those foods that are ravaging our skin and also speed aging. And also I am going to talk about ways we can reverse this damage. The third one is all about sleep and skin relation. And here I am going to talk about what is called the circadian typology, and also those specific skin issues that are influenced by the way we sleep or we don't sleep. Some of us have issues with our sleep. The fourth day is all about exercise, movement, and the link between exercise and the way we move our body and our skin. And I am going to share the best type of movement for longevity. And then also ways we can start moving, especially if we don't do that. We are not used to do that. So ways we can start moving without I like to say, the hustle attached. Because for women, this is something that, I mean, the excuses are so many from I don't have time, I don't have the mood, I am too tired, I don't like the gym, so on and so forth. And the last day is all about I like to call it the Glow Younger routine. And here I am going to talk about the biggest skincare routine mistakes on one hand, and then also about a 5-step system that is very efficient when it comes to the way they can take care of their skin. So I am going to walk them through everything from why they age to what they can do, like actually do when it comes to their skincare routine. So this is the masterclass from next week, and I cannot wait to do it. I'm already excited and pumped. There are 7 days to go. So this is it. And when it comes to the intervention, and I just realized I did not tell anything about that. So when it comes to discussing the epigenetic plan and also walking those women in the program through certain topics they need to take care about, there are 6 pillars I usually craft the plan around. Pillar number 1 is slim. And this is all about hydration. This is all about diet and also movement. Pillar number 2 is sleep. The next one is sex. It's called sex. It's all about sexual health. And this is important, especially in our 40s or midlives. Skin is the next one. And this is all about skincare and the way we should take care of our skin. Smile is the next one. And smile is all about stress management and the way we can manage stress. We cannot get rid of stress, but we can manage stress. And the last one is style. And here we talk about the best decisions for us based on the body type we have, also the skin tone and subtone. So there are certain things we should take into account so that we bring at the surface the best version of ourselves possible when it comes to personal style.
Wow, that's fascinating. Could you do me a huge favor and tell me what pillar number 1 was?
Slim.
Got it. Wow. Yeah. No, that's awesome. You know what I really love about how you talk about this stuff is that you're not pitching like there's this one thing that does it. It's a plan. And you know what I mean? Sometimes there's that, if you do this one thing, everything changes, but it's more to it than that. It's a foundation. I think you're creating a foundation for this longevity and health and wellness, or if you want to call it that. And, just understanding how to get a good night's sleep without stress makes you smile. That's
right. Yeah. And not only that, talking about the foundation and having a foundation, in the Glorious 40 Mastermind, there is a very serious, if I can call it like that, foundational work we do. And this is about mindset. So mindset is key from my perspective. And you can receive, and I can give you lots of, I can build a traffic light system in which I tell you which foods you should eat and which foods you should avoid and this and that. If the mindset is not in the right place, you will not implement a thing. You will not, you could buy those skincare products. I can tell you the sequence of the steps you should implement, everything there. If you are not committed to the road or to the journey, you will not implement anything there. You will just go back over and over to the same square one. So the first 3 months are all about mindset. This is also the time that I need and the lab needs to analyze the saliva swab. So it's perfectly crafted in such a way that you are in pole position, if you want, or you are ready to start implementing the 6 pillars once we discuss the plan and things are working that way, for sure.
Right. And yeah, and the mindset is huge, because you've got to be, you can't, like I think we talked about that earlier, it's about it's got to be from in here. It's got to be right in here,
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, this is a fascinating thing that you do. I really congratulate you on getting out of, or for man and womankind, for getting, making the change in your career and your mission. It's an awesome thing that you do for people. I can really tell. It's a lot of information, but I think that the inspiration that I get from this conversation is what I'm looking for. The inspiration for your clients and people that are in any kind of field, that are sitting on the fence, that wake up one morning and say, I'm going to do this for my own self, as opposed to circumstances or people telling me I should do something, is what I'm hoping for with these conversations. And you've certainly done that today.
Yeah, and talking about women and men also benefit from my work. Because if their partners are going through this transformation from mindset to the way they look, to the way they take care of themselves, they are benefiting a lot from that, So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I often receive compliments from their partners, because they are so happy with the way their partners look and also behave. So
that's awesome.
The impact is even bigger here.
No, that's a bonus, and you can if you're the man in that situation, you can be a fan and watch your mate in the game. That's okay for that part.
You can be a fan, and she can be on the field of play, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Larisa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. I know that's you're super busy, especially with your mastermind coming up and all of that. Is it mastermind or masterclass?
Masterclass.
Masterclass. Sorry.
Mastermind is the program, the 12-month program.
Yes. So this is an amazing topic. I have some friends that I've been talking about this all weekend, who are, there's one in particular, who's in he turns 88 on Halloween next Saturday. And he has been into longevity for a really long time now. and he's fascinated by this topic and is always, interested to hear it. We discuss this stuff all the time, and your approach is awesome. So thank you so much for coming on. And we'll share some links if we want to attach those to the future, to when we share this around, and can get you some more clicks into those areas. So we'll talk about that offline in a second. So Larisa Petrini, joining us from Europe. I'm in Santa Monica, California. My name is Keith Salmon, and this is the $1 Million Story series. When I refer to the $1 Million Story, it's the $1 Million Story right in here. It may or may not be exactly attached to $1 million monetary. It's a figure of speech. This story is a story from the heart. So those stories can transform your life. And these stories that I bring to you is the entire purpose for doing that. I have a Facebook group called the $1 Million Story Ninjas. I would encourage you to join, and we talk about our own stories. And sometimes I get this all the time. Well, I don't think I have a $1 million story. And then after a conversation, they go, well, maybe I do have a $1 million story. And that's the start. That's the start of something that could be really, really big and transformative in your life. And maybe in your business as well. I mean, that's the whole point. It's a business context, but some people don't even have the business context, but get a lot out of understanding their purpose. And the purpose is not necessarily on a timetable sometimes. And it's part of that awareness of yourself, awareness of things around you, that we get the opportunity, if we can clear those blocks and have a good look and receive those things. So I hope that this conversation with Larisa is one of those things that is able to have you be presented with like, wow, she did it. Maybe I can do it. That's the whole point. So thanks so much for being here. I will see you on the next episode. And Larisa, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.